Hi guys. My next challenge, the continuing saga of my bringing junk back to life. I bought this motor last year from a friend of mine out east. He has a lot of nice old motors, but I got a deal on this one. I actually originally bought it for the badge. I think I paid him $15 for it, but he gave me the whole motor, so I'm going to see if I can bring it back. 1957 7.5. Missing the carburetor, the airbox, the recoil was missing. I just threw a recoil in there. Pretty much stripped. Well, I'm back, and it's right before Christmas. Couple of weeks. Been busy the last month. Want to give you an update on what I've been doing. Last video I was going to do 2 motors, bring them back to life. I ended up doing one, the 7.5, the 18's on the back burner. I started thinking about it. One's enough at this point to concentrate on. But I did finish the 57 7.5 and just like to show you real quick. I didn't do a total restoration on it. All I did basically was clean up the cover. It's original white paint. I redid the red and the decals. That's it. Rebuilt the power head, new water pump impeller, new coils, and pretty much that's it. I haven't tried to start it yet. Today it's about 35 degrees out. I might try to start it tomorrow. But I did end up rebuilding the whole power head. I used the Evernude recoil that you saw in the first video. I had to paint, strip it down, prime it and paint it. I installed the pin. There was no pin in the Evernude for the strap on the Johnsons, so I made a pin from 1/4-inch aluminum round stock. I put that in there. Right here, you press it in. Pretty easy to make. With a belt sander. What else? Nothing on the power head, pretty much. Except for rebuilding it, really. I did replace the carburetor, the face shield, the knobs, the airbox. I bought this motor originally for $12 because I liked the badge on it from a friend of mine out east. And the decals for both sides were $14. I highly recommend the eBay seller. I think his name is Shabbos Starry. He sells decals really reasonably priced. These originally came red and white, so I contacted him and asked him to narrow it down a little bit and make them white with black. And this way it's closer to the originals and very easy to put on. So, again, I haven't tried to start it or anything. Pull it. Got nice compression. But a lot of stuff I did change, a lot of parts. The only thing basically left to do is put gear oil in it, test it, and repaint the transom brackets, which I still haven't done. There's still Evernude transom brackets on there. Color match is pretty darn close, especially after you polish it. The bottom cleaned up really nice. Just for some reason, all the red was totally gone, faded. You really didn't see it too much in the first video. And all the decals, you could barely see the outlines of the decals. Almost looked as if they were painted over, but they weren't. They were just worn away for some crazy reason. So, again, I repainted the red 57 Johnson Holiday Bronze. I bought the paint from Vintage Outboard Paints in Toledo, Ohio. Not cheap, $24 a can. I bought 2 cans. I used about half a can to do the cover, the red on the cover alone. And the rest of it's all original. Yeah, I think the tail was missing. So all this was missing. The face shield was missing. All the knobs, the carburetor, the airbox, the recoil, and the nut on here for the through bolt was missing, and the spring or washer, I replaced that. I had to drill out one of the transom clamps. Stay tuned. Well, this is the second coat because I didn't get the first coat on video. I did not confirm that I was recording. So I wanted to show you the sandblasted primed part. But anyway, second take, second coat. And I'm going to really wet on this coat. That's all she wrote. Paint I bought from a vintage outboard paint, Toledo, Ohio. It's not cheap, but at least they have the availability to get the color matches almost 100% correct. So give them a shot if you need outboard paint. Well, here I'm going to paint the power head. I got it rebuilt. And here we go. I bought the paint from Vintage Outboard Paints, Toledo, Ohio. Love that holiday bronze color. All 3 years they called it holiday bronze, but it's actually 3 different shades. 56 was kind of reddish red, first year of the red. Then in 57, is a little, this is what I'm doing now, a little kind of brown in the paint. Here's an original piece right here that I didn't paint. And here's a piece I painted on the airbox. It's a pretty good match. Here's the other piece of the airbox. So I'll let that set up, then I'll give it another coat. It's about 55 degrees out. So I'm gonna take this power head and go inside with it and let it set up inside. Well, here I just changed the old coils. Turned out the coils were bad, the original old 50s coils. I put a set of used newer ones in with the newer coating on it. I sandblasted the condensers because they're a little rusty. I used them over. I polished the points, reinstalled them, cleaned everything up. I cut the wires back, original wires. I cut them back, an 1/8 of an inch on both ends to get the new wire and reconnect everything back up. But one step closer. So here I always wanted to experiment with muriatic acid in removing stuck piston rings. So I tried one of the pistons off the 5.5, and I left it unattended for about a half hour. I came back and the water was boiling. And so I took it out of the solution as quick as I could, and I washed it all off, and all the rings were free. I was shocked. Cast iron, it doesn't eat it away, but the aluminum, the piston was ruined. Started eating away the piston. So now I'm experimenting with another piston I had with stuck rings. As you can see, it's just starting to boil after about 10 minutes, and I diluted the acid with about 1/4 of water to slow it down a little bit, and hopefully it won't affect the aluminum on this. This is a scrap piston, and I got a couple more here I want to try. But this is my first attempt trying to do this, and I'm really satisfied as far as saving the rings. Of course, I'm going to measure them to a new set just to see how much they deteriorate with the acid, if it deteriorates at all. We'll see. But it's pretty cool. After all these years, you know, to find a way to get the rings off without breaking them off and spending the time. Much quicker to soak them in acid. But be careful with this acid. Do it outside, and don't. You can wear a mask too. It's nasty stuff. Let's continue with it. Piston's just starting to come out the bottom. Make sure I have enough clearance so it doesn't hit the bars on the press. It's just a little 12-ton Harbor Freight press, but it does the trick. And here she comes. At this time, I'm reaching underneath it. Okay, paper towels are keeping it from falling out, which is good. So I'll flip it around and do the other side. So here, after a little finagling, I got it set up. Now I'm doing number 1 cylinder. A little bit harder than the other one. What I did initially was I flipped it over, and it was at the top almost. So I drove it all the way down to the bottom from the opposite side. This way I can clean the cylinder real nice and get a lot of the rust off it. Then flipped it back over to continue doing it this way. And this is a 15 millimeter socket. I think I said 14 previously, but just about perfect size without distorting the journal. I got the 2 screws in there, and again, I tapered this, so this taper part here, hollow out, is clearing the rod and just pushing on the 2 screws. And hopefully I'll get it out without adjusting the height on the bars here. We'll see. Yeah, she's coming easy. Again, I couldn't get, if I would have tried to do these by hand, I would have destroyed them. So making a little tool like this really helps. This is probably the first time I'm pressing pistons out of a 5.5. I don't think I've ever done them this small. Usually it's, 10 horse and larger. And she's just about out, so. And this is number 1. Number 2 came out, all the rings are stuck, so I might try muriatic acid and see if that works. I don't know. And if not, I'll just break them out and change the rings. A few more pumps. Just happened to work out with the height of the table, so. Again, my napkins are holding it in, so. And there she is. Haven't we seen this before, folks? Rusty cylinders, pistons, the old 3-ring 5.5s. Okay, next. Boiling the block after sandblasting. It's my ritual. Every block I sandblast. I spent about 5 minutes blowing it out with air real good.